Hey there, this is the One Boom, and today we're going to be talking about the weird perk system in Modern Warfare 2, as well as the lack of dead silence, and I'm just going to basically give you guys a download of my opinions on this because it's one of the most glaring issues with the game. My next video might also be negative because I'm going to just be going over all of the things I dislike currently about the Modern Warfare 2 beta. I really hope Infinity Ward is listening to feedback when it comes to this beta, because this is a really solid Call of Duty game that could only get better if the feedback is actually listened to, obviously, right? But with Modern Warfare 2019, one of my biggest issues is that a lot of beta feedback and launch feedback was seemingly ignored for a long period of time. And then when the updates for MW 2019 really started showing up in full force, a lot of them seemed like they were focused directly towards Warzone balance and not the traditional multiplayer. I'm just hoping Infinity Ward has their finger on the pulse of the community a bit better this time around. So let's talk about this perk system. The perk system as it is, in case you don't know, you get 2 base perks as if they were perks in any other Call of Duty game. They're passive bonuses that just exist when you load into the match. We understand how base perks work. The big change is that you pick 2 of those and then you pick a bonus perk and an ultimate perk, which show up mid-match. They are on a timer. So your bonus perk will show up about a minute into the game from what I can tell, and your ultimate perk will show up about 4 minutes into the game as far as I can tell. If you want to get those perks faster, you want to get kills, play the objectives, basically just get as much score and XP as possible. Basically, you start with 2 perks, then you get a 3rd, then you get a 4th, and then you have 4 perks for the rest of the game. This is a cool concept. On paper, this should reduce the effectiveness or just overall usage of crutch perks like Ghost or Toughness or whatever other crutch perks you could think of from previous Call of Duty games, like, I don't know, Dexterity or Dead Silence. It's a really cool idea to put really powerful perks into an ultimate or bonus perk section because, well, then you can't just load into every match with a perfect layout of meta perks from the start. You might have a meta setup, but it's gonna take skill, it's gonna take time, it's gonna take score per minute to get to those perks faster and actually be able to take advantage of them. This is an interesting place where a meta loadout will actually have to come with some actual skill because your perks will be earned faster the better you perform. So on paper, that is a really cool idea. And when I say it out loud, it again makes sense. But in practice, I believe it's limiting. So how could this perk system become less limiting? I believe that this perk system should allow for more player choice, giving players complete access to all base, bonus, and ultimate perks for each category. That way it would be a game of deciding what perks you want immediately for your playstyle and what perks you're okay with having later throughout the match. Currently, it's here's some base boring perks that are sort of inoffensive, and then your bonus perk might be a little bit better, and your ultimate perk might be a lot better. Arbitrarily staging your passive bonuses throughout a match just, in my opinion, is limiting. I like the idea that I only get 2 base perks and my next 2 perks are unlocked at basically, 1 minute in or 4 minutes in. I like that idea. I like that I can unlock them faster the better I perform, and that's also great. But locking certain perks into the bonus and ultimate categories means that my playstyle doesn't really get to be itself until those perks unlock. So I can't really make a stealth build in Modern Warfare 2. I can, but half of my perks aren't gonna be around until like halfway through a game, meaning I don't get to spend the whole game in that playstyle. Call of Duty giving players abusable freedom is what makes it so special. Call of Duty having that role-playing game-esque thing of building a class for a specific style of play now feels arbitrarily limited and staged, and I'm not a huge fan of it. If I could just have it so that I start with Ghost and Cold-Blooded, but then I get double time and Battle Hardened later, it would still be a system that I have to make compromises in. It still would be a system where I need to balance in my mind what perks I'm willing to get later and what perks I want from the moment my feet touch dirt. Currently, the bonus and ultimate perks are just things we're used to having, like Cold-Blooded or Ghost, but arbitrarily hidden behind this system. Hey Infinity Ward, on paper, the only reason this perk system makes any sense is that you're trying to limit crutch perk usage. You don't want somebody spawning in with Restock and Ghost and sitting in a corner and replenishing Claymores all game. You want them to have to earn Restock and Ghost. I like the idea, I like the concept, good for you, but then I have to ask a different question. If this perk system doesn't change and you lock perks to the categories of base, bonus, and ultimate, then I think it's a no-brainer to add a perk like Dead Silence, or Stalker from Modern Warfare 3, Deadeye from Ghosts, and more powerful, unique perks to the bonus and ultimate section. Like, the fact that this game doesn't have Dead Silence as a perk after all of the complaints that they dealt with throughout Modern Warfare 2019, and after all of the excitement people had about Ninja showing up in Black Ops Cold War and Vanguard, I don't understand how they would even put a beta out without Dead Silence in it. Also, this is a weird band-aid fix for some other topics that I'm avoiding. So for instance, if the reason they don't want Dead Silence in the game is that they don't want it to be a crutch, which is the only reason I could see them not wanting it, then they have to ask themselves, why would everybody want to use it? Maybe our footsteps are too loud, and maybe rushers and aggressive players feel compromised moving around the map. So it's not really a problem of whether or not the game has Dead Silence, it's an issue of how loud are the goddamn footsteps. Also, if you're worried about Dead Silence being overpowered, then nerf it. Change the way it behaves. Maybe you're completely silent until you're within 5 feet of somebody. Maybe you're completely silent until you tack sprint. Maybe add a perk like Amplify that allows you to counter Dead Silence users, which would work pretty well in this system where you only get 2 base perks, so if you made Amplify a base perk, that's one of only 2 the person can use passively throughout the entire game. Unless you want to make Dead Silence and Amplify both bonus perks, which means people using Amplify and people using Dead Silence will be getting them roughly at the same time. But is that really such a good idea? Then what's the point of using Dead Silence if all the Amplify users also just got their perk? Do you see the problem here? Of course, this is a problem I'm creating that doesn't really exist, but what I'm trying to point out here is that the only reason to keep this perk system the way it is to reduce crutch usage. So the only reason I can think to keep Dead Silence out of the game is to reduce the crutch usage of Dead Silence. That doesn't work. You have a system in place to keep people from using meta perks all game, so add this meta perk. And if the perk is too meta, then look at your sound design, look at counterplay, look at other things. Like, I've seen people saying that it makes sense for Ghost to be an ultimate perk in this system because Ghost keeps you completely hidden off the UAV. But why can't we just have a normal perk system or a pick 10 perk system or something like that where Ghost only works when moving? It'd also be kind of fun to have 2 different types of Ghost perk. One that keeps you hidden when you're holding still or moving slowly, and the other one that keeps you hidden only when you're sprinting or tack sprinting. I think taking existing perks that we're all used to and tucking them into this arbitrary system makes very little sense. I think what would be a lot better is to get just new perks that are better, that are more interesting, that are more complicated. Maybe you can just have 4 perks all at once, but each one of them has to essentially have a pro upgrade. I don't know, it just seems odd that this is the system they went with. It's again taking things we're used to having and then arbitrarily hiding them behind timers. The only way it's not arbitrary is if they were to say, hey, we just don't want crutch perk usage. But then I'm wondering, why is Last Stand in Modern Warfare 2? Why is the ability to res yourself after getting downed or get resed by teammates a perk in the ultimate section, but Dead Silence still isn't around despite constant, consistent community feedback? I don't like a game where the footsteps are so quiet there's no point in wearing headphones. I don't like a game where everyone's running Dead Silence and there's no way to tell when somebody's sprinting up to you at top speed. But I also don't like a game where everyone can hear my footsteps and I have no ability to make a consistent stealth class to pursue that playstyle. In a lot of the intel drops and the Call of Duty Next presentation, they were talking about player behaviors. And what's really sad is that they don't really seem to realize how much they limited different people's player behaviors by this weird ass system. Basically, let me start with whatever 2 perks I want out of all categories, and then I get to choose which perks I want to see later in the match. If I want to start with Ghost and Cold Blooded, I should be able to, and then if I want to get Battle Hardened and EOD later throughout the game, that's fine too. Do that, or if you're going to leave the system the way it is, add in some nice, strong perks to make that ultimate perk section much more interesting. Also, and I hate to say this because I'm so sick of seeing it after the last 3 Call of Duty games, I wouldn't mind just a pick 3 perks, 1 from each tier system compared to this. If I can just put on Ghost, Cold Blooded, and Dead Silence and just have an actual nobody can see me without their naked eye build, that would be really great. But I don't get to have that apparently. I hate that the weapon customization in modern Call of Duty is the best it's ever been throughout the last now 4 entries, And I'm so excited about that because customizing a weapon is very fun. And I'm so excited to review the weapons in this game because of how awesome this gunsmith system is and how much work and love has clearly gone into these weapons. But when it comes to the perks that actually dictate your playstyle, all of the last Call of Duty games really limit you. They incredibly limit you. They just limit the fuck out of you. The least limiting was probably Cold War because of the wildcard system you could use, but still, we haven't gotten back to how I felt in Black Ops 2 or in Call of Duty Ghosts or Advanced Warfare, where I really felt like I could make a class however I wanted. I could make a class that fits the playstyle I want. I'm really hoping for a rework to this perk system, or at least the addition of some perks in the ultimate and bonus section that justifies the system existing. There's no reason Dead Silence can't be in this game. It was in Cold War, it was in Vanguard, there's no reason it can't be in here. I think it'd be a lot easier for Infinity Ward to just say, okay, Ninja is a bonus perk that you can get, and not have to completely rework footstep audio. People that worry about their footsteps can just throw on that bonus perk and, not want to uninstall the game. That's the end of my tangent and rant about the perk system in Modern Warfare 2. It is the thing that has me the most concerned, but I have about 7 other things I want to talk about when it comes to Modern Warfare 2's downsides, because I think the beta period's the best time to share all of this feedback, as critical and as negative as it might sound. Again, I think it's important. So either way, I will see you when I see you guys. Goodbye.